Leo.
6 Music. You are now entering parallel universe.
And wipe your feet on the way in.
Marc Riley, BBC 6 Music.
Okay, so the Killjoys and Johnny Won't Go to Heaven, swear edit, and I'm, and you know, I've got to watch my P's and Q's as well, because we've got Beverly Bob on, he brings out the worst in me. Hello, mate.
Oh, hello, mate. Stop that. That's nonsense.
I'm sorry, it is nonsense, but it's what I do.
But yeah, that was great. No, do you know what? So Kevin Rowland there, of course, in his pre-Soulboy phase, Killjoys. So we're looking at the PU here. NME, 30th of July, 1977.
Okie dokie.
And Tony Parsons reviewing the singles there, including that one. More of them later. On the news front, you've got WE Records this week made a magnanimous gesture to ticket holders for the projected London New Victoria concerts by Stanley Clarke and Bonnie Raitt, now cancelled because of the theatre's closure. Although they were in no way responsible for the closure, the company offered a free Clarke or Raitt album to anyone whose money has been frozen by the New Victoria liquidators. The New Victoria is now back under the control of its owners, the Rank organisation, but its future is still undetermined. What a nice little gesture. Didn't have to do that, but they did.
It's heartwarming, mate. Heartwarming. Doesn't happen now.
Oh, you'd never get that now, would you? I want to start with something heartwarming. So the New Victoria Theatre was going for a while. I think it limped on for a little bit more, but now it's a sort of well-known West End musical theatre, isn't it? It's, musicals all the time. Yes, it is.
Right, okay.
I think Wicked's on there.
What have you been to see there, Bob?
I haven't actually been there, but I've kept close tabs on it, Mark.
Oh, obviously.
In the news, Iggy Pop is to tour Britain in his own right in October. Details of his itinerary will be announced within the next couple of weeks. This seems to rule out Iggy's original plan, says here, reported last week, to tour America with David Bowie in the early autumn. It's not yet clear if Bowie is going ahead with his US dates or if he will again play for Iggy in Britain, which of course he played piano, keyboards.
He did, and one of the best gigs I've ever seen in my life, and I will never forget the mountain of people off to the right-hand side of the stage as you were looking at it, all in front of Bowie, who was just kind of trying to be anonymous, but it's David Bowie playing keyboards, doing backing vocals in a plaid shirt and jeans. And Iggy, really, really at the top of his game and looking fantastic, sounding fantastic, but still, he was on the stage with David Bowie, so he was just a dream ticket, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We should mention as well, shouldn't we? There's a new Iggy album on the way, I believe.
That's right.
In the new year.
Yeah, for sure.
Meanwhile, it says it was learned this week that an open-air concert by Bowie is planned for Wembley Stadium next summer. So it would have been 1978, the stage tour. He didn't play Wembley, did he? He ended up at Earl's Court, I think, for 2 or 3 nights on that tour, which was famously filmed by David Hemmings. A little bit has come out in the Moon Age Daydream doc, I believe. I still haven't seen that, by the way.
It was.
But the full footage is still on a shelf somewhere, isn't it, of that
It is,
tour?
yeah. So there was 3 nights there, as I understand it. And, I don't know. Hopefully one day it'll see the light of day.
In the news as well, John Miles has rejected a £25,000 offer from a US film company to star in and write the music for a rock TV show based on the life of the late James Dean. Says Miles, I know there's a resurgence in the Dean cult at the moment, but I don't want any part of it. His attitude, it says here, is prompted by what many consider to be his resemblance to the movie star. Now, I don't want to talk ill of John Miles here because he's no longer with us, but I don't think he really looked like James Dean to me.
Well, it's not the first thing you thought when you saw him, really, was it? But anyway, I mean, if he was convinced, so be it. I mean, everybody knows who I look like.
Go on.
James Dean, but I mean, it goes unsaid. That's never, in fact, it's never been said until now.
I don't think anybody's ever, you've just said it there for the first time. That was a one-off.
Yeah, but no, everybody's thinking it. Anyway.
American news reports in the US music press suggests the controversial American rocker PJ Proby has joined Dutch band Focus as lead singer. I'm going to follow this through. Following the departure of Jan Akkerman, the band experienced a sharp decline in and subsequently, when 2 of the members left, it looked as though Focus had disintegrated. But now, the sole remaining member, Ties van Leer, is about to launch a reshaped Focus. Polydor Records in London said they'd heard reports of Proby joining, but were unable to confirm them. But the fact that 2 American papers have printed pictures of the new lineup, complete with Proby, appears to substantiate this story. So this is one of the bizarre kind of rock stories of the late 70s, wasn't it? You got Focus really at the end of the tether, not quite sure what to do with himself. Proby was famous for a while in the sort of first half of the 60s, and he did collaborate on this album, didn't they? So he sang, they wrote some tunes, he sang on them. There's an album called Focus Con Proby, which is their final album before they eventually split.
Not surprised. I mean, it's funny because just earlier in the programme I played Sylvia, which is one of my favourite instrumentals ever.
Yeah.
But in doing research, I found out that it was a song that Thea Stanley had written for a previous band, which had a singer called Sylvia. He wrote words for it as well. She didn't like it, so he put it in the cupboard and then just dusted it down years later, and it was, I'm thinking it was the first hit for Focus, wasn't it, Sylvia?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe PJ probably was ending up doing the vocals for Sylvia years later. That would have been great.
Absolutely. And Thrills, Charles Shaw Murray reports on the arrival of 2 punk bootlegs on the black market. No Fun by the Sex Pistols and White Riot by the Clash. No Fun, he says, features the Matlock era Pistols and was recorded at the Electric Garden in Manchester. I presume that's the Electric Circus, he means.
Yeah.
On the Anarchy tour. It contains versions of songs like The Who's Substitute, Small Faces, What You Gonna Do About It, and the Monkees' I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, which aren't going to be on their official debut album, which Virgin are hoping to release soonish. So in its own sort of understated way here, this is quite an informative little piece of news, isn't it? Because the common perception at the time was that the Pistols and punk just arrived out of nowhere from a vacuum, but it's well known now. Of course, they will listen to the Small Faces and the Stones and the Faces and Bowie and all the rest of it, and this is proof.
Yeah, of course they were. And I think, also, I mean, Lydon and Rotten had famously that T-shirt, a Pink Floyd T-shirt with I hate daubed above it, And you have to wonder if he didn't own that Pink Floyd T-shirt beforehand. He might not have done, but I know he was partial to krautrock. Maybe he was partial to a bit of prog as well. I don't know, but I'm just speculating.
I think he was definitely partial to Van de Graaff Generator and Hawkwind, I believe.
Yeah, he was, definitely.
No doubt about that. Hey, talking of Hawkwind, new single.
Hawkwind and Quark, Strangeness and Charm, Mark Riley, Quark, Strangeness, and in Beverley, Yorkshire, the charming Rob Hughes.
Oh, too kind. Look at the NME here, 30th of July, 1977. New singles reviewed by Tony Parsons. Single of the week goes to Eddie and the Hot Rods, Do Anything You Want to Do. They were just called the Rods at that point, weren't they? They were truncated.
Really?
Yeah, that's right.
Even at that point, right, okay.
Yeah. Says here they've wiped the floor with the opposition. This is their best single so far. Imagine the melodic consciousness of Paul Weller on the jams away from the numbers, filtered through jingle-jangle guitars of the Byrds, the chord changes of Born to Run by Springsteen, an epic hook-line chorus plus hand-clapping, and you've got the 4-minute Nirvana of Do Anything You Want to Do. High praise.
I hate to say this, but yeah, that's really well written and bob on.
Elsewhere, there's the Ramones, Swallow My Pride, Pinhead and Let's Dance. He says, I agree with the rest of you that the brothers Ramone are the world's perfect group, although I still reckon they're much too slow on record. This wasn't by poor design, was it? This was deliberate because... Talking to Craig Leon, their old producer, a few years ago, he said he went to the record company, Sire, and they were really worried that it was so fast, so ramalama, that they thought the radio stations wouldn't touch it. So they deliberately made him slow it all down in the studio.
I didn't know that, right?
Yeah. And Television's Prove It and Venus, special 12-inch edition on green vinyl, says, although live they exude all the passion of deep frozen fish fingers.
What?
On record, they cut through as always, like a new kind of drug that flushes straight to the central nervous system and won't go away. Too bad Tom Verlaine comes across on stage with such bleak clinical detachment, because he's got the depth of vision to create in Venus the best love song anybody's written since Dylan's Love Minus Zero. But talent without passion eventually provokes yawns.
Listen, who wrote this, Bob?
This is Tony Parsons, mate.
Oh, I mean, yeah. And the irony is that once again I played Prove It earlier in the programme. So
did you?
Yeah. Something spooky going on tonight.
Well, part of the allure, as we know, of Tom Verlaine was that whole mystique, wasn't it? That iciness. It was just an enigma.
Yeah, when I met him at the Academy, I did tell him that he needed a bit more of the George Formby about him, but he didn't take it on board.
Did he not?
No.
I can't believe he didn't.
Well...
and there's a big piece here by Paul Morley on the new Manchester scene. So bear in mind, this is July 77. Obviously, I haven't got time to go into it, so I'm trying to sort of broken it down into little chunks here. Basically, what he's saying is Manchester, 2 years ago, 1975, it was just one of these sort of provincial towns. Just when it was about to fizzle out completely, Howard Devoto formed a group, Buzzcocks, and wrote the words to Boredom. A year later, people smile, know each other, help each other, are part of each other. It's a recognisable community. There are more venues, smaller and friendlier. The glorious Sunday nights at Electric Circus, Rafters, the late lamented Oaks, which I think was in Chorlton, was it?
Yeah, it's like right on the corner of the Parkway and Barlamore Road near the cemetery.
Okay, and the Ranch Bar. Manchester is a great place to be now, musically. There is grimness, determination, humour and awareness. The scene has unfolded rather than exploded, but it's very much there and alive. I just wondered, really, from your point of view, did it kind of feel that way? Did it feel like things were really starting to happen suddenly?
Completely, yeah. I mean, there were so many venues that just popped up between 77 and 82, even places like Rotters, the big disco were having bands like Killing Joke on and stuff. But yeah, there was the Mayflower Club, and there was DeVille's as well, and the Squat. There was just all these venues just popped up, and obviously there's so many bands coming through in Manchester. There were loads of them, and most of them would rehearse at TJ Davidson's, which is Kevin Cummins has got this 4-book out now, which has got some film from in there, or some photos rather. But the Joy Division Love Will Tear Us Apart video was filmed in there in the big room that we used to use all the time, and yeah, it just took off really within the space of a year. And everything he says there is absolutely true.
Yeah, and was there a sense of community? Was that kind of palpable as well?
There was, apart from the fall, I would imagine, because we were always, under Smithy's guidance, we were always very suspicious of other bands, so it never, and there was something there with Buzzcocks, kindred spirits and everything, as people. I'm not sure whether Smithy would agree with that or not, but we never really kind of cross-pollinated too much with Joy Division and the other bands, but I think they probably all did. Yeah.
Okay,
you get what I'm saying, don't you?
I do know exactly what you're saying, and Paul Morley goes through a list of bands here, important bands, including The Fall, so they're all in there. We're going to go to, all this is happening, punk's happening, and the rest of it, but Bob Marley reunited with his old producer Lee Perry for a new single, which is Punky Reggae Party, which we can't play because it's way too long, but Lee Perry nevertheless had a single out too.
Okie dokie, this is Dreadlocks in Moonlight.
Yeah.
Roger Sharp was on your trail. He couldn't work. He couldn't work. He couldn't work.
Lee Scratch Perry and Dreadlocks in Moonlight. Mark Riley in Salford, whilst in Yorkshire we have Bobby Hughes.
Correct. We're looking at the NME here, 30th of July, 1977. Gigs this week. Got Peter Gabriel at Cardiff Capitol Theatre. Actually, he's just announced tour dates today, hasn't he?
He has, in Ormodomes, yeah.
Motorhead at Wigan Casino. Buzzcocks supported by Wire at the Marquee, the only ones at Shoots Club in Bristol, Elvis Costello at the Nag's Head in High Wycombe, Squeeze and Dire Straits on the same bill at the Albany in Deptford, Chelsea at the Johnson Hall in Yeovil, Little Feet at Manchester Free Trade Hall, XTC at the Waterside in Birmingham, X-Ray Specs at the Hope and Anchor in Islington, you've got Eater at Tracy's in Gloucester, John Renbourn at King's Head in Rochester, Elvis Costello, Generation X, Penetration and the Jerks at Huddersfield Polytechnic, and Burl Ives at the Brighton International Folk Festival. There's an unusual one.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen Burl Ives.
Absolutely. On the live front, you got Elvis Costello playing a gig for Island Records in Hammersmith by Nick Kent. He said not actually a gig review, but a report from the video room of Island Records where Costello was playing for a bunch of label reps. He says he is just so damnably good. He's younger than you thought, only 22, 1 year older than Johnny Rotten, as it happens. He's not too flashy, he plays great sparse guitar, and he's got all these amazing self-penned songs going for him. The stuff from the album is great as it is, but it's even better when you hear it live because the band's really hot.
Symbiosis, or what? We played the Elvis Costello session from 77 tonight.
You did, of course, pump it up.
It's all happening, yeah.
Oh, it's all going on. Generation X and the Lurkers at the Marquee, reviewed by Chris Salovitz, who absolutely loves it. Nick Lowe talks about Bad Company and the Teasers. He says when Rockpile supported them on their US tour, he said they're about as exciting as a rotten sack of spuds.
Oh.
And Home Office are softening their attitude towards Johnny Thunder's Heartbreakers. Their manager, Lee Blackchilders, just before flying out to catch the Heartbreakers gigs in LA, told teasers to expect them back on British turf in about a month's time. I mean, they came back later. Ooh, no, I'm getting confused here. We're in late 76, wasn't it, when they did the tour with the Pistols?
Yeah.
Former Pistol Glenn Matlock has recently been in Scotland auditioning for a vocalist to complete the lineup of the Rich Kids. But we're not going there.
Well, no, he Mid-Jaw was, though, wasn't he? Right.
He was.
OK, pal. Well, excellent. We're going to leave with Buzzcocks and Boredom. I'll dedicate this to Edwin Collins and Grace, of course. And we'll see you tomorrow night. We've got Teleman live in session from Maida Vale. And, yeah, great to speak to you, Bob. And I'll see you when I see you.
Likewise, mate.
Cheers, fella. Bye.
Cheers.